Today I have some of the finer details about how the Canadian government is spending your hard-earned dollars by sprinkling them around the globe like little carbon tax fairies. While leafing through some 200 plus pages of expenses related to Catherine McKenna's 2017 three-day trip to California, I uncovered something I hadn't ever seen before. Now, I've seen the total for the number of Canadian tax dollars Justin Trudeau's Liberals have committed to spending to combat climate change in the developing world reported before. I've reported on it before. Now, if you've never heard or seen this number before, please sit down, take a prophylactic Tylenol for the incoming headache and maybe some sort of antacid for the gaping ulcer we're about to awaken in your gastrointestinal tract. This number is atrocious at $2.65 billion with a B dollars. Every time I see that number, I think, And the veterans, they're asking for more than Trudeau can give. So I've seen this number before. I've been shocked by this number before. Frankly, I've been angered by that number before. But I've never actually seen a breakdown by country, UN agency, or global initiative about how all that money is being allocated until now. And if I've never seen it, I thought maybe you've never seen it. So I'm here to tell you exactly where your tax dollars are going and how those tax dollars are supposed to prevent the boiling of an over-carbonated planet, or else we're all going to die in 18 months or 12 years, depending on who you ask and how much of your money they want and how fast they want it from you. Anyway, I uncovered some of the numbers of Canada's so-called $2.65 billion climate pledge in a briefing note provided to Environment Minister Catherine McKenna so that she could brag to the California politicians, Silicon Valley overlords, and anti-oil billionaires like Tom Steyer while she was in California. You see, she wanted to tell the deep green activists just how generous she was being with your tax dollars. Here it is on page 80, table 1. It's a breakdown of announcements made so far as part of Canada's $2.65 billion climate pledge. As part of the G7 African Renewable Energy Initiative, they gave $150 million to a yet-to-be-announced organization. The Green Climate Fund for Developing Countries got $300 million. The Least Developed Countries Fund, part of the Global Environment Facility, got $30 million. The Climate Risk and Early Warning System of the World Meteorological Organization got $10 million for work in the 50 least developed countries and small island states. The G7 Initiative on Climate Risk Insurance got $50 million, $40 million to the African Risk Capacity, and another $10 million to, well, they don't even know yet, but doesn't matter, they're getting your money. A yet-to-be-named recipient organization in Mexico and Chile are getting $25 million of your money to combat short-lived climate pollutants, whatever those are. Climate and Clean Air is getting $10 million for their work in developing countries. Oh, but there's more. That's just page 80. Let's flip over to page 81. The Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency is getting $5 million for their Global Environment Facility. The International Institute for Sustainable Development is getting $2 million for their work in the most vulnerable countries. The Climate Technology Center and Network, as part of the United Nations Environment Program, is getting $2.5 million. The World Bank's Transformative Carbon Asset Facility got $3 million. The Canadian government also gave $1.2 million to the Kingdom of Morocco to help host the United Nations Climate Change Conference. They call it COP22 here, but that's what they call the United Nations Climate Change Conference. It was held back in 2016, and I was there. Those air conditioners they had running in the tents in the desert to keep everybody at a comfortable 16 degrees Celsius had to be very, very expensive. A yet-to-be-named organization in Vietnam is getting $15 million to innovate for climate change. Co-Water in Burkina Faso is getting $15 million for sustainable energy and economic growth. The International Development Research Center and African Institute for Mathematical Sciences in Senegal got nearly $20 million as part of the campaign to strengthen climate resilience in Africa. Oh, but friends, the most chilling thing we'll read today is not even on this graph of countries that won the climate change sweepstakes courtesy of Canada. It's actually just below the graph, and it's a reason not to re-elect the Liberals, as if you really needed another. It says, Canada's pledge will be dispersed until 2020, and more announcements will follow. As in, again in 2020. The Liberals plan to do this all again and then some. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At The Rebel, we do accountability journalism. We hold the government to account on behalf of the people. And that's why I'm being investigated by NDP holdovers in the Alberta government for writing a book that hurt Rachel Notley's feelings. To see the full story and to help support my legal battle against the Alberta government and for the free press, go to savesheila.com.